following video is going to show you how to create a basic HTML website, size it for the mobile device. What this video is not going to do is it's not going to show you advanced CSS or any kind of advanced techniques. This is designed for the beginner, someone just getting into HTML, someone who's just, wants to put together a very basic website and have it look right on their mobile device. So I'm going to talk about, some of the different ways to do that, sticking to the very basics. I'm going to be using Dreamweaver for this. There's not going to be any coding, but I just want to show you the very intro of starting to think about designing a mobile site. How do you design a website? How do you size it correctly and make it look right on the mobile device? All right, so the first thing I've done here is I have opened up a Dreamweaver and I'm starting a new HTML document. So I start Dreamweaver, I open it up, I'm going to select new document, HTML, and I'm going to select create. All right, I get in and I see my page. Now I've already created a couple of test pages here for you that you're going to be able to see, so I'll be able to show you those. But basically what I want to do is I need to think about, okay, so what do I want this page to look like? Do I already know? So if I know it's a mobile site, I know that I probably don't want multiple columns, right? Like columns up and down. I probably want it just to have one or more rows, and depending on what I want it to look like. So what I like to do, now this is for the beginner, I'm going to recommend this, not an expert. I'm going to recommend that you create a table. I like to create a table because I think it helps beginners a lot with layout, to really lay something out. It also does some cool things for the intro mobile device, which I like as well. So I'm just going to show you a few different ways that you can do this. So the first way, so I'm not going to actually type anything on my screen because I've already done it 3 different times. I'm going to show you 3 different example sites and show you what they look like, and then I'll show you what they look like on my mobile device. So you can see I just have a basic page open here. That's all I've created. That's all I'm going to do. So I've created 3 sites, test 1, test 2, and test 3. So for test 1, what I actually did is you can see the weird size here. It's a little smaller. I've actually went down in Dreamweaver. They have a bunch of different options, and I selected iPhone 7. You can actually select a design for a device to see what size it's going to look like. So I selected iPhone 7, and I created a sample site here. I've selected iPhone 7 and created a table. And you can see it has a header, body, and footer. Then I've created just a basic page as wide as it can be, and I've created a table and made that table 100% width. So let me show you what these all look like on an actual mobile device, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you how do you actually create it. So let me show you what they look like. All right, so here's the first page, test 1. You can see what it looks like on my mobile device. Notice how it's not the full, even though I selected iPhone 7 and Dreamweaver, it does not look like, it doesn't look right on the mobile device. It's the wrong size. Okay, and that's how that table one will look too. Here's the example of the table where I actually made it 100% width. Notice how it fills up my entire screen. So you can see that this one looks much better. Obviously, the size of my text, and I don't have any images. It doesn't look nice, but it fills up my screen, which is the point, because we're working with size. We're trying to figure out the correct size. So you can see that that one works the best. Now let's take a look at what these look like on the computer. Okay, so we can see that, this test also looks a little funny on the computer. It doesn't show up right, but that's okay because we're designing this for a mobile device. So even if it was small on our computer, that would be okay. They can still see it. And then here is what that table looks like, the one that looked correct on the mobile device. Notice how it extends the whole entire screen. So you can see on a computer, this one's going to look a little stretched out. But that's okay. Again, we're developing this for the mobile device, so that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so let's go back into Dreamweaver and let me show you how to develop these. So the first one, obviously, these 2, I just developed them using this iPhone 7 sizing, which does not work. Now, what I did for the third one that looked correct on the mobile device is I developed a table and made it 100%. So how do I do that? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, Table, Now I pulled up my options. I can make this and as many rows as I want it to be. And I can always add more rows, go back and add more later. I'll just keep it at 3. I don't want any columns. Usually I like to have no columns when I'm creating something for a mobile device. I'll keep my border thickness at 1, but I can always change that. And I would always probably keep that at 0 so people can't see that I used a table. And then I'm going to go to table width. Instead of a width, I'm going to go to percent and I'm going to type 100%. What this does is it makes it so on my mobile device, the site will be 100% of the phone. I'm going to click OK. And it's created this table at 100%. Now the trick that you're going to have is finding out, well, what size text do I want here? And my images, and let's say I'm including buttons. Can I just make normal size buttons for a web page? Probably not. I'm going to have to increase the size a little bit of my text, and I'm going to have to go back and forth and play with it, because depending on what device I'm developing this for, it'll be much different on an iPad versus a phone. So you're going to have to play around with it a little bit. Usually what I'd like to do is I'll develop a few sample images and see, hey, are these the right size? Because I'll publish it and test it on my device and see, are these the right size? And if they are, then I'm good. If not, I'll readjust. And I'll do that with text as well. I'll change the text size a little bit. But this is how you start and get the site going so that it's going to fit on the mobile device. And remember, this is not designed for the computer, but it will show up on the computer and they'll be able to see the content. But I usually like to develop multiple sites. Now, if you're looking for, isn't there any code I can just make the site look right on the phone? Yes, there is some code, but this video is not showing. That's not the point of this. I'm showing you how to use basic HTML, basic Dreamweaver to do this. The point was not to show you some code that automatically makes it a certain size, because sometimes that code doesn't work, and it doesn't work on all devices or in all browsers. So there are some issues with doing that at some points. Additionally, there are some other more advanced features that make this a lot nicer. Like, you traditionally won't use tables to develop any kind of website, but this is for absolute beginners. So I think that it's okay to do that when you're first learning about web design layout. I think it's a great way to get the ball rolling and really start to learn how to design. But that's the basics. Thank you.